the pleasing mildness of a Camel is just as enjoyable to a doctor as it is to you or me.
Yeah, you heard that right. There was a time when cigarettes weren't just considered socially acceptable. It was advertised as healthy. But how did one of the world's deadliest products become one of America's favorite pastimes? And why did so many people believe the lie? You're never gonna believe the story. Long before the glossy ads and the doctors in the white lab coats, tobacco was already pretty big business. The plant had been cultivated by Native Americans for centuries, but once Europeans got a hold of it, smoking spread like wildfire. See what I did there? By the 19th century, it was one of America's cash crops, fueling fortunes, politics, power. There was even a cigarette rolling machine that was invented in the 1800s. And by the 1900s, smoking was a part of everyday life. And when World War II rolled around, soldiers were given cigarettes to smoke. And when the soldiers returned home, their habit came with them. By the mid-20th century, tobacco wasn't just one business. It was a powerhouse funding multiple businesses, movies, sports, TV shows. It shaped culture. But still, they wanted to push it even farther. And how would they do this? With authority. Ads didn't feature just celebrities or some random person. No. They featured doctors, white coats, stethoscopes, big smiles plastered on their faces. The message was pretty simple. It's safe to smoke. It's fine. We recommend pregnant women smoking 2 cigarettes a day. At the top were the titans of big tobacco, Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds, and for decades they swore the cigarettes were safe, even though by the 50s there was evidence that smoking may cause cancer, and there was also evidence that nicotine was addictive, as early as the 60s or 70s. Researchers saw it, real doctors saw it, and journalists were trying to say something, but most of it was covered up.
Are you worried about getting lung cancer? No, not particularly.
In 1954, they formed the Tobacco Industry Research Committee. It sounded like science.
Science.
But no, we can't do the science intro because it wasn't science.
Oh, man!
This whole purpose was really just to spin the truth, create reassuring ads, and print endless confusion. Between the 30s and 50s, cigarettes were almost marketed as medicine. Stressed? Light one up. Need to lose weight? Smoke a pack. But smoking wasn't just normal and addictive, it was also glamorous. If you didn't smoke, you weren't tough. Weren't cool. And just to make sure that the next generation got hooked, we would make candy cigarettes to make sure they understood how fun it was. Training wheels for addiction. And while big tobacco would remain a large staying power, its effects were seriously hindered in the 70s. And it all started because of one Surgeon General's report. In 1964, Luther Terry released a groundbreaking report saying that there were links between cancer and heart disease and smoking. And with that, people began connecting the dots.
All right. I think God is telling me don't smoke.
By the 70s, you have anti-smoking ads, along with anti-other drug ads, which ran into the 80s. But big tobacco didn't fold overnight. In fact, they doubled down. They made light cigarettes and filtered cigarettes as a safe alternative, but it didn't work. By 1971, cigarette ads were banned from commercials, and there were warning labels in every pack. There was a whole new generation that wasn't seeing the glitter and glamour, but the danger. Not doctors in white coats, but patients and oxygen tanks. And yet people are still buying cigarettes, and so they were given a safer alternative of vaping. Turns out that really wasn't good either. So how about this? We're meant to breathe air. Let's stick with that. Now this whole issue brings up a lot of questions. Why were these doctors willing to lie to patients? Why was big tobacco not willing to look into safer alternatives if it knew that the people that they were selling to were going to die from their products? But maybe the real question isn't about cigarettes at all. Maybe the real question is, what are we being sold now that future generations will look back on and shake their heads and say, how could they ever believe that? Until next time.